What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to take a look at a pretty good middleweight by the name of Paul Pender. Paul Pender took the title away from Sugar Ray Robinson and then gave Sugar Ray Robinson a return go. He defeated Sugar Ray Robinson a second time, and he solidified his middleweight championship of the world. But most of the organizations didn't consider Paul Pender a middleweight champion. They considered Gene Foreman the middleweight champion because of his defeat of Sugar Ray Robinson. So Paul Pender fought Ray Robinson twice. Then he fought Terry Downs. When he fought Terry Downs, he lost the title in the 9th round because of a cut over his left eye. Then in a return go, he faced Terry Downs again and became middleweight champion of the world the second time. Then he faced Gene Foreman, and he lost to Gene Foreman. Fascinating story. I want to go over it a little more deeper with you here on the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. So as you can see here, Paul Pender was born in Brookline, Massachusetts on June 20th, 1931. He took part in professional boxing for 11 years before Dame Fortune favored him, and he defeated Sugar Ray Robinson for the middleweight title on January 22nd, 1960. Only New York, Massachusetts, and the European Boxing Union accepted him as the middleweight king. The NBA favoring Gene Foreman, who had defeated Carmen Basilio after the NBA had vacated Robinson's throne. But in all parts of the world except the parts of the United States, over which the National Boxing Association had controlled Pender by his victories, became the recognized successor to Robinson's crown. On June 10th, 1960, he again defeated Sugar Ray Robinson. Each of the title contests was won by a split decision. In 1961, Paul stopped Terry Downs in England in the 10th round in Boston in a title match, and on April 22nd, he won a unanimous decision in another championship. And then he wound up losing his title to Gene Foreman. So let's quickly take a look at some of the opponents that Paul Pender would face. This is Paul Pender in his prime. As I said, he was born in Massachusetts. He was a middleweight. 1949, he began his professional debut, January 28th, against Paul Williams in Boston, and he knocked him out in 1 round. Fascinating year he had, as you can see here. A lot of these fighters were pretty good fighters during that time. George Myers, Boston, knocked him out in 3 rounds. Frank Theodore, Boston, knocked him out in 2 rounds. Mickey Lane, I'm going backwards, knocked him out in 2 rounds. And I'm just getting to his part of his career, early part of the career, quickly, because I want to get onto some really good photos I want to show you with his fight over Sugar Ray Robinson. In 1950, January 23rd, he would face Sonny Horn. Now, Sonny Horn would defeat Rocky Graziano. And then he would have a rematch with Rocky Graziano, and Rocky Graziano would defeat Sonny Horn. This is in Boston. He defeated him in 10 rounds. Very good win for Paul Pender. Leon Brown, March 27th, 1950. Providence, Rhode Island. He would knock him out in 5 rounds. Charlie Dotson, May 3rd, 1950. Portland, Oregon. He would defeat him in 10 rounds. He would face Bobby James, Roy Wathers, Ernie Durando. Ernie Durando was a fascinating fighter, very good two-handed puncher. October 23rd, 1950, Boston. He would defeat him in 10 rounds. Fascinating. Harold Sampson and Norman Hayes, all good fighters. He would lose to Norman Hayes, as you can see here, December 11th, 1950. He would lose to him in the 10 rounds. 1951, he would face Norman Hayes again in Boston. He would knock him out in the 7 rounds. That fight took place January 8th, 1951. Eugene Hairston, I told you his story once before. He couldn't hear, he couldn't speak, but he was a very good fighter. They did develop the ring blinking lights. The last 10 seconds, the red blinking lights were coming on Madison Square Garden. They invented it for Gene Hairston because his inability to hear the lights. The 10-second thong on the canvas that was banged by the offside referee. This was April 30th, 1951, when he would be knocked out by Eugene Hairston in the 3rd round. Eugene Hairston was a very good fighter. Otis Graham, October 1st, 1951. He would defeat him in Boston in 10 rounds. 1950, he would have 1 fight. March 31st, Jimmy Bowe, Boston. He would be knocked out in 5 rounds. 53, he was inactive. He took a year off. 1954, August 3rd, Larry Villeneuve, Boston, defeat him in 10 rounds. He would defeat Ted Ola. Brooklyn, he would defeat him in 10 rounds, December 20th, 1954. Freddie Mac, Gene Foreman. He fought those two fighters in the same year, 1955. January 6th, Freddie Mac, Boston. He would knock him out in 4 rounds. February 14th, Gene Foreman, Brooklyn. And he would lose to him in 10 rounds. 1956, he would have one fight against Jimmy Skinner. This fight took place in Boston, December 4th, 1956. And he would defeat him in 10 rounds. Fascinating. 1958, November 17th, Jackson Brown, Boston. He would knock him out in 5 rounds. Pete Adams, Boston, knock him out in 4 rounds, December 15th, 1958. December 22nd, Willie Kid Johnson, Providence. He would knock him out in 3 rounds. 1959, he would have a couple of fights. January 5th, Joe Gomez, Providence, Rhode Island. He would knock him out in 6 rounds. February 9th, Young Bo Jack, Providence, Rhode Island. He would have a 3rd round disqualification. He would win that fight on a disqualification. And as you can see here, Ralph Tiger Jones, fascinating fighter. I did a profile on him. Look up Ralph Tiger Jones and Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series or Scrapbook Boxing. You'll learn a little bit more about Ralph Tiger Jones. March 17th, 1959, Boston. He would defeat Ralph Tiger Jones. Fascinating victory for Paul Pender. August 17th, Jackson Brown, Providence, Rhode Island. He would win in 10 rounds and win the New England Middleweight Championship of the world. December 14th, Gene Hamilton, Boston. Defeat him in 10 rounds, 1959. 1960, January 22nd, he would defeat the great Sugar Ray Robinson in Boston in 15 rounds. He won the middleweight strap and gave Ray Robinson a return go on June 10th the following year. Ray Robinson in Boston, he would defeat him in 15 rounds and retain the World Middleweight Championship of the world. 1961, as I discussed earlier, January 14th, he would face Terry Downs in Boston, knock him out in 7th round for the title bout. April 22nd, Carmen Basilio, Boston. He would defeat him in 15 rounds and defend his crown. Fascinating victory for Paul Pender. July 11th, Terry Downs, London. He would be stopped in the 9th round, lost his World Middleweight Championship. And as I discussed with you, he lost that title in the ring because of a cut over his eye, and it was more of a TKO than anything else. But he would get that title back from Terry Downs, and he would lose it to Paul Pender. So I just want to show you now Paul Pender and Sugar Ray Robinson. I want to take you to some of his fights in the Sugar Ray Robinson scrapbook. I have a 1,000-page scrapbook of just Sugar Ray Robinson. I have 5 books like that. So let's take a look at that particular fight. Here's Terry Downs while we're here. And that's the man who took the title from him, but then he regained the title from Terry Downs. I did a profile on Terry Downs. Look up Terry Downs, the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series, and you will learn a little bit more about Terry Downs. So let's take a look at the career of Paul Pender through the eyes of Sugar Ray Robinson in a pretty good fight in Boston. So this is Paul Pender and Sugar Ray Robinson. Those who know my channel, I have explained to you plenty of times. I have a lot of scrapbooks. A lot of them have different languages in them. My dad and I collected every newspaper we can possibly find, so I wasn't interested so much in the language of all papers that I collected, more or less of the articles and the visuals. But I'm just skimming through here. Here you have Sugar Ray Robinson and Paul Pender. Obviously Robinson to the right, Paul Pender to the left. Robinson was 39, Paul Pender was 29. It was 10 years age difference at the time. Ray Robinson weighed 159 3/4 pounds. Paul Pender weighed 159 pounds. Robinson stood 5'11", and Paul Pender was 5'11.5". Very rare you would find Sugar Ray Robinson fighting a taller opponent. And here you have Ray Robinson and his wife basically just, letting them know that it's all right that he lost the title, but you'll get another opportunity. It's Ray Robinson training for his second fight with Paul Pender. Paul Pender dethrones Robinson. This is when he takes the title away from Sugar Ray Robinson. Robinson with a beautiful left jab to the body. Sugar Ray works out in window, and that's this particular article that I'm showing you here. It was a window view that the fans had when Robinson was training for Paul Pender. And here you have Pender wins championship. Win decision over Robinson, Sugar Ray Robinson. Ray takes like little champs. Ray takes it like a champ. The million shouting, exciting crowd in the dressing room of the new champion still and made way. I apologize for that. That was I had a quick call. So here you have Sugar Ray Robinson slipping the left jab of Paul Pender. But at this point in time, Sugar Ray Robinson, and I don't like making excuses, Paul Pender deserves every single victory that he gets in his career. But Ray Robinson was definitely over the hill at this point in time. Didn't have the reflexes, didn't have the ability to slip anything else other than maybe a jab. Couldn't come back with anything fast enough. So it's just one of those things. Ray Robinson, at that point of his career, was just in it for the money. And I salute Paul Pender. You know, you in there as a fighter, you want to be a real fighter, and you stay in there and you fight. If you want it for the money, hey, whatever happens, happens. Ray Robinson had a good career. No sour grapes there. And I just want to show you a little bit of visual over this fight. Pender dethroned Sugar Ray and what they called an upset. Wow, look at that beautiful jab that Sugar Ray Robinson still had left in his career. Paul Pender suffered a cut over his left eye. And that's the same cut that he would deal with when he fought Terry Downs. So Ray Robinson originally opened up that cut with the left jab, as we saw there. And that's what caused him to lose his title. I'm talking about Paul Pender when he faced Terry Downs. Because he suffered that cut originally from Sugar Ray Robinson with a beautiful left jab. New champion. And here you have the tail of the tape. We went over it already. Let's go over it again. Paul Pender, 29 years of age at the time of that fight. Ray Robinson was 39. Pender was 160 in this particular weigh-in. He was 159 before in the other one. So, you know, it's according to which paper you read. And Robinson was 160 as well. They both stood 5'11". Paul Pender was 11 and a half inches in the other tail of the tape. But the reach was 72 for Pender and 72 and a half for Robinson. So salute Sugar Ray Robinson. I still have this man the greatest because he was able to do everything that could possibly be done in a boxing ring. Here you have Ray Robinson and Paul Pender. This is the television view. They used to have these in the newspapers where they would have a little circle as though you're watching it through the eyes of the television screen. Ray Robinson was some fighter, I'll tell you, even in his later years. The average fighter couldn't handle Sugar Ray Robinson. It was just a beautiful two-fisted fighter. Threw the most combinations in boxing history. He would hit you with a 4 or 5 piece combination, sometimes a 6, 7 piece combination. The last the last punch that he would throw would be just as hard as the first punch in that combination series. Fascinating. Dynamic fighter with Sugar Ray Robinson. So salute to Paul Pender. This video was actually about Paul Pender. I just wanted to show you Paul Pender. He was a middleweight champion of the world. He defeated Sugar Ray Robinson. He defeated some really good fighters in his time, so I have to place him in my Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Great fighters are never forgotten on my channel. And I just want to honor the fighters who actually get in the ring and fight. Sugar Ray seeks title for 6th time tonight. That was the rematch that he received and came up short with Paul Pender. Carmen Basilio waiting in the wings. I tell you, at that time, they had some really good fighters, man. Unbelievable. First time Sugar ever lost rematches. Fascinating. So thanks for joining me. This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Salute to Paul Pender. Great fighters will never be forgotten on my channel. And I just want to make a special announcement. We're coming up with a brand new channel. Myself, Curtis Anderson, along with retro boxing and documentaries. Ringside. It's going to be called Ringside Historians. And please support that channel. You're going to learn a lot. We're going to put a lot of information out. We're going to do a lot of research. We're going to make sure that we cover this boxing game from the history to the present. And you're really going to learn a lot from our channel. We're putting a lot of work into this, a lot of time into this. And the only thing we ask for is your support. And you're really going to learn a lot from this channel. It should be coming out towards the end of January 2019. It'll be called Ringside Historian. Once again, it would be myself, Curtis Anderson, and retro boxing and documentaries. Salute to my subscribers. Peace.